Hey everybody, what's going on? Another episode of Heavy Metallurgy's Album Club. Hope you have had a great week so far. I'm Marty. Good to see you. And I'm surrounded by three other awesome co-hosts. South of me here is Logan. What's shaking, brother?
Nothing too crazy. I got a metal themed beer actually. Look at this. There's a black metal fan on the can of my beer.
Nice.
I don't know if that's the average black metal fan or not, but
he's hugging a big hop.
He's hugging. Yeah, he really likes hops apparently.
You should have a beer called Hops Angel of Death.
Oh,
I got some stuff in my fridge from Christmas that I bought. It's called like zombie pus or some shit. Like I can't remember what the hell it is.
Is it from Three Floyds or something?
I can't remember. I'd have to look at the. It's like something like that. It's like it's the doggone. What's the one with all the hops in it? IPA. Yeah, makes my head itch.
IP a lot. Yeah. I would drink zombie pus, but yeah, doing good. Let's see. Had a great concert, first one in a while with, of course, Exhumed. And speaking of, on Heavy Metallurgy is my review of the new Exhumed album, which I now own. Red Asphalt, blast of a show. If you get the chance to see Exhumed on this tour, do it because the whole touring package is phenomenal. But they really broke, all the stops as far as like a stage performance goes. Like I've not seen a band have as much of a shock rock kind of vibe that Exhumed has in a long time. Like they're basically at Guar levels at this point with having like random motorcycle guys drive by. They've got the dude with the chainsaw like on stage, decapitating a head and then, pouring blood on people. Absolute blast. So see Exhumed. This is their recent concept album about road rage in America. Very fitting. Some of us live it every day, but for those that don't, Red Asphalt. There we go.
Check out Logan's review. We posted it on Monday. Yeah, Monday.
Yes.
Fun stuff.
And speaking of themed bands, also saw on the Exhumed tour, Oxygen Destroyer, kaiju themed death thrash, but it's so like relentless and fast. It's basically grindcore at a certain point. But this is their latest album. I believe it came out 2024. Guardian of the Universe, a concept album, not about Godzilla, but about Gamera. You guys remember that kaiju, right? The empathetic, altruistic turtle, giant turtle guy. So that's him right there. Yeah. So all kinds of awesome sound clips of monsters fighting and, segued between blistering, fast-paced death thrash. So Oxygen Destroyer, had a blast seeing them. They were just a three-piece that night, but they were so tight and just vicious. And I liked it because the dude read off every single song title before they went into playing it, and he, did it in his like death growl voice. He's like, "This is da, 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 da." That's how he talks the whole time. It was fun. And then finally, Alan actually mentioned this on the What's Spinning episode, and sure enough, Frozen Soul announced a new album coming out. It made me pull this off the shelf. It's probably been since this came out. This is their debut, Crypt of Ice, and it's solid. It's a solid death metal album. Is it anything that's going to blow your socks off? No, but it's, fun in traffic, I would say. It definitely gets it. Yeah, it gets the momentum going, and it keeps that momentum the whole way through. It's not going to blow you away, but there's bolt thrower riffs, there's hardcore vibes, there's good slow brutal sections, and then they pick up the pace, and it gets your blood pumping a little bit. So will I love the new Frozen Soul? Probably not, but will I check it out? Sure. But on to the next.
Good to see you.
Good to be here.
Jim, good to see you as well. How you doing, man?
Doing good, man. Had a great jam with my son and my nephew right before the show. So
awesome.
That was fun. It's cool watching these kids grow on their musical journey and just being a part of letting their old man steer the ship, while they learn a little bit. So it's cool. There is a store nearby, a record store that I haven't been to in probably 6 or 7 years because my brother had a falling out with the owner.
And when you walk in there, the owner thinks you're him, and he's like, "Oh, you son of a bitch!" Oh, wait.
Well, I figured, I was like, well, it's been a long time, and he probably won't remember. I got my brother's blessing because I didn't want him to get mad because he's still got a lot of hate for the dude. And I was like, hey, Lou, I'm just gonna go check it out. He's like, go ahead. If they got anything cool, let me know. But I was like, cool. So they did. So I've been talking about this for a while because you guys put it on my radar, and so now I own a Steve Tucker era album, and this is the best one. I really do like this record a lot, man.
It's the only one you need, really.
This is the one, man. This one's so good. Actually, I take it back. I do have Kingdoms Ordained on CD, but after I liked it for like 2 weeks, and then I was like, man, I don't like this anymore. But this is sticking with me. This is great riffs, and it has a vibe that kind of carries throughout the album, which is a little unusual, I think. Well, I don't know if that's unusual for Angel, but it feels more mid-paced to me throughout, but it just has a real sinister vibe to it that I really like. So I'm glad you guys kept pressuring me to check it out. It's been cool. And another thing that the dude had was, I said I'd buy it if I ran across it cheap. There it is. Wow. I couldn't believe it, dude. Like we just,
that's a quick turnaround.
Quick turnaround, man. I was like, oh my God, there it is. And he had it for it was like $22 or something. I was like, well, I gotta get it. I said if I run across it cheap, I'm doing it. So yeah, I'm pretty stoked that we just talked about this record and got it. But yeah, it's awesome. Also, this is another store that I didn't even know. It's not too far from me, about 40 minutes away. And I was surprised to see this among their racks. White Noise and Black Metal Craft. Pretty good record here. It's not F the Universe. But there's some really good moments on this. If you give it a few spins, I was kind of surprised. There's some kind of almost like rockin' type riffs in here, kind of buried beneath all the evil. And it's really subtle, but it's there, especially on the second side of the record. But anyway, I really like this, and it was a pleasant surprise digging through the crates of of a small shop, that I was surprised. First of all, they even had a metal section, you know what I mean? And then to find this was pretty awesome. So yeah, cool finds. Ready to talk about another one tonight.
Right on. TJ, how's it going?
Just another day in the week, I guess. It's been fine. Gloria Stead updates. We started tracking vocals on Monday.
We did. You did. We watched.
I did.
We watched and heckled and belittled you, but
watch me almost keel over dead. Yeah. So that's in the process. So hopefully everything goes smoothly. The album will actually be out before too long. But that being said, I following along the path of what we listened to this week, Eternal Champion, which if anybody's got a line on where I can pick these records up, because man, I can't find them for sale. I had these on my list to buy for the longest time, and then perfect time to buy. Nobody, just sold out it's just nothing. Discogs, everything. But so I'm thinking about the big four of new wave of trad metal. I don't know if this, but I would definitely put this band in there myself. But we'll get to that anyway. Sorry, I'm jumping the line with the question stuff. But this is Skull Fist, Paid in Full. Anybody familiar with these guys or not? This is a
Canadian, aren't they?
I think so. Really killer stuff. It's again, it's all kind of in line with what we listened to this week. And then Blazing Right, Endless Halls of Golden Totem.
It's a good album.
I just love saying that.
That's awesome. I want to check it out because of that title.
I know it's just kind of the silly. It's kind of the silly thing. They're great. They're really just killer band. And then of course this has been brought up on here multiple times. I don't know. I don't think we have yet to bring this up on here. Bring it on. I think one of us should, or at least between me and Marty. But Marty will know it just by looking at the cover. By Fire and Sword, Glory.
We did this.
Did we do it? Did we do it? I
Yeah,
can't remember if we did or not. It's been a minute, but
old mushy brain over here.
yeah, well, you know. Fortunately, I didn't sniff more glue in high school. But anyway, you know, if you haven't heard this, do yourself a favor. This absolutely is just
fun.
It's just such a great. And then
thanks, Ian. Appreciate you, man. Thank you. Why are you up so late on a school night?
And then off the rails a little bit, I just got this in finally. This is the third time I've owned this, never on vinyl.
Killer record.
Believer. Oh my God, they're so awesome, dude.
Yeah, this
cool
record,
cover too.
Yeah, if you haven't heard this, I mean, this came out in the early 80s, and these guys should have gotten a lot more attention. The first two albums are canon, in my opinion. They went off the rails after that. Hardcore, they came back. They disbanded, came back in the mid 2000s or whatever it was, and did some weird stuff and released.
But those 80s records were.
Oh man, this stuff is
technical, weird thrash like no other. It's so different, man.
Yeah, so tight and crushing. It's just so. But this is the third time I've owned this. So I don't know where.
That's what we do, TJ. We just buy the same records over and over again.
I know. I don't know where they went, but yeah. So that was my week.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we just did a big What's Spinning show on Friday, and I'm just showing a few things I didn't get to talking about, and one I spun today. Self-titled Candlemass album, when Messiah Marcolin returned to the band. You know, I like the original singer. I think he's doing a good job. He did a good job on the debut. He's doing a good job now. But I'm Team Messiah. I just am. I love the Messiah era. And when this album came out, I was a little underwhelmed. I thought it was good, but it just it didn't have the same magic that, you know, Nightfall or Tales of Creation or the fourth one. I'm thinking Ancient Dreams and then Tales of Creation. Anyway, that's like such a magic run of albums. And I just like the fact that Messiah, I mean, you hear the Rob Lowe era of Candlemass. Rob Lowe was just notoriously followed riffs, really boring. He did good on King of the Grey Islands, but after that, he really just started sticking to the riffs. Very boring. Messiah always pulls out these really, you know, soaring, awesome vocal lines. And for some reason, this album never clicked, but I was listening to it today. I had to run some errands and drop my wife off at a thing, and sat in the vehicle and listened to this. Man, production is great. It starts off with Black Dwarf. What a great heavy song. Just really good. All the songs on here are really solid. I don't know what I was thinking. I must not have been in the mood when this thing dropped. And a point of note here, got it for $8 at the book stop back in the day, which was a record store or a shop in Petoskey, Michigan, that half of the store was used CDs and media. The other side was used books. I would walk out of there every time with a stack like a foot tall of cheap, awesome metal CDs. There must have been metalheads that would completely cull the herd all the time, but long gone. It's not there anymore, sadly. Yeah, and Ed, who was on last Friday, he came down from Gaylord, Michigan, hung out. We went shopping at the local record shop, and I found a copy of Leatherwolf, Street Ready. You look at this here, you're thinking, oh man, this is a hair metal band all the way. This is going to be, but you know what? This album kind of rips. The riffs on here are pretty aggressive. The guy singing isn't like singing all pretty glam metal style. There's actual bit of screaming and grit to his voice. You know, I think I paid $12 for this. That's why it came home with me, because it was cheap. And when you find a cheap record at our local shop, you buy it, because man, they're few and far between. That place is crazy what they charge for music. But yeah, I've listened to this twice and it's pretty decent. It's just kind of rough, kind of metal. There's some hair. Maybe it could lean into the hair a little bit, but it's mostly just pretty tough sounding stuff. A lot more aggressive than I thought.
Street Ready must be about my ex-wife.
Yeah.
Sing.
And at the same place for $6 or $8, I got this thing, Prophet Cycle of the Moon. Why did I buy this? Well, it's a gold stamp promo, and it came out on Atlantic Megaforce.
Huh.
I'm thinking, but then look at the picture. You're like,
Oof.
uh-oh. $8. It's on Megaforce. I'm like, you know what? This can't suck. Well,
Can it?
it doesn't suck. It's more AOR type of
Right on.
kind of heavy at times. It's really well produced. It's produced by Spencer Proffer and Randy Bishop. Whatever. Good job, guys. This is something I listened to once. I'll probably never listen to it again. But again, $8 on Megaforce. I had to check it out. And yeah, been a minute since I've spun this. So at one point I had Giants and Monsters on the latest from Halloween. I like it. I think they're the best band on the planet. I just do. In their style, in their arena, I think they're the best band on the planet. But yeah, there's some more AOR level songs that have creeped into this record, but it's still really good. And I'm not a humongous fan of the production. It's very rounded off. It doesn't have a lot of sharp edge like the last record did. But other than that, you can't beat the songwriting. They're absolute masters. And today we are talking about the Armor of Ire, the debut 2016 album from Texas, Austin, Texas's own Eternal Champion. And there isn't much on the Wikipedia. Eternal Champion is a heavy metal band founded in Austin, Texas in 2012. They released their debut album, the Armor of Ire, in 2016. Fenris of Darkthrone placed the album in second position on his top 15 albums released in 2016. There you go. The Fenris seal of approval. What did TJ think of this one?
Yeah, so like I said earlier, this band's been on my shopping list. I've listened to this the Ravaging Iron 1,000 times. Something I discovered at random and checked out when I was in a little bit bigger a phase of the new wave stuff. Where I was real big into Sumerlands. About spun the ones and zeros off that first record. Just absolutely adore that first album by those guys. And as a matter of discussion, these two bands share several members, which we'll talk about coming up, because there's some stuff in here. They're sharing riffs here and there. But I finally, it's like, I hadn't bothered to listen to this one yet, but I was planning on buying. I tried buying them today, and ain't nobody got them. Finally, and so yeah, I think this album, I've got nothing truly bad to say about any of this. It's the second album has a little bit better production, a little bit better whatever, but they're still just kind of owning their piece of this territory on this. And it's a great record. I've had a great time listening to it.
All right, Jim.
Yeah, I remember hearing this, back in the day, and I guess I just wasn't ready for it. Like I didn't dig it. I really wasn't into any of the new wave of true heavy metal stuff at the time. I was either just listening to old metal or stuff that was way heavier. But there's one of the great things about this show is we revisit stuff, right? Where things are put back on our radar that we may not have either been ready for or just didn't get the first time around. But man, I got this from the get-go. Like, dude, 10 seconds in, I was like, what was I thinking? This is awesome, dude. I really, really like this. I was just quickly pulled into their world. This is, we got a little bit of Lovecraft in here. We've got, story about, Romans invading England. The history and the mythologies that they explore, are done in such detail lyrically, the vocal presentation, and then the music. It all just kind of coalesces and brings you into whatever realm that they happen to be inhabiting on that song. And Man, I love it when a band can do that and do it so successfully. And like TJ, I'm absolutely going to be looking for this. I'm pumped, TJ, to hear that it's hard to find. I'm like, that sucks. That's what I get for not like getting it, 10 years ago when it came out.
Right. I should have bought it back when I first started, because like I said, I listened to the second record. I mean, I got the lyrics to Face in the Glare stuck in my head right now. This is the second track on it. I mean, in the glare of my steel, I see the face of a god. Just fucking,
I mean,
it's great.
I hear you, man. This is, one of those records. It's, one of the coolest things about metal for me is that feeling of empowerment a good album can give you, and that's what this one does. It just made me feel powerful listening to it, helped me get through my work days this week. And man, this is a crusher, dude. I really like it.
Right on. Well, I was a little late I didn't get it right when it came out. A lot of people telling me I should get it. The more people tell me I should get something, the less I want to hear it. I don't know why I'm that way. It's just, I'm that way. But finally I did listen to it. I'm like, yep, I'm all in. This is great. And, it's funny how slick this style of music is getting over the years. For me, epic metal, I think of bands like Doomsword. I think of bands like Manila Road, who are all amazing, but there's an underground edge to them. They might not be utterly perfect. There might be some bumps and scratches on the paint job, but sonically, but this here is just so slick and smooth and flowing. It's great, fantastic. And once it finally clicked with me, I had to snag them, and I got the other one too when that one came out. But yeah, it feels a little too slick and polished to be the epic metal that I think of. But man, it's really well done, and they do so without a lot of flash, which is kind of nice. You don't have a super over the top singer. You've got a guy that's just very much just kind of knows what the song needs. He sings within a range. He doesn't go over that range. He doesn't
barely
go
3 octaves.
Yeah,
I mean, barely.
But it's just the way he places his cadence over the music is so perfect. He sings with a lot of emotion and power in his voice. It's just a very nice, subtle touch to, songs that just flow. There's not a lot of speed on here. It's all very mid pace. Yeah, I mean, we're going to get into it here, but what do you think, Logan? What did you think?
Man, yeah, my goal tonight is not to try to be too hyperbolic about this album, but I mean, I ran across this one in 2016 when it came out, and it single-handedly made me pay attention to what new wave of traditional heavy metal could be. Like, I was familiar with the scene a little bit, but in my mind, it was like more centered around trying to ape new wave of British heavy metal tropes, trying to be Judas Priest or Iron Maiden. I didn't know that that this scene could accomplish something that Eternal Champion did. I mean, I wasn't really even familiar with Manila Road or Omen or any of the other classic like 80s American metal bands or epic heavy metal bands. So I was still kind of new to what all classic 80s metal was. I mean, I didn't know that at the time. I thought I was well versed because I knew of, New Album and like Manowar, but this album kind of showed me the way, and it just knocked me on my ass from first spin. It like this one and Sumerlands, because I found them the same year. That debut Sumerlands album is practically neck and neck with this thing. I know you guys already covered that. That was a TJ pick, I believe. Yep. So well done. But no, absolutely blew me away. A lot of the stuff that you guys are already saying, the guitar work, the vocal cadence and delivery, and to me, the transport. It's like a transportive album that just sets you in this, mystical fantasy realm where like this album cover is happening, and it's epic, and it holds up 10 years later. I think it's still an important album, and yeah, listening to it this week, it's empowering. It is absolutely just adrenaline pumping and epic the whole way through, and just an easy, seamless listen for me. So absolutely excited to talk about it 10 years on tonight. So But my question for y'all, Conan, what is best in life? Sorry, wrong question. From your perspective, do you hear anything fresh or new in Eternal Champion's take on the new wave of traditional heavy metal sound? And then I included a side tangent because I thought this would be a fun exercise. Can you come up with a new wave of traditional heavy metal big four? So 4 bands that kind of straddle what the scene is all about to a certain extent.
TJ.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, as far as new, I don't know about new. I think these guys just move into their lane and own the road as far as what they do. I mean, like I said, there's guys in this band that are in Sumerlands, and I hear all kinds of stuff where they were sharing riffs and the guitar style, and he's just doing what he does on both sides with both bands, but they're just so good at it, and it's so well crafted. The songs are so well done. There's so much conviction in it. So it doesn't seem new, fresh maybe, but not new to me. But again, that's not to slander them in any way or slight them. They like I say, I think they've taken their share of real estate in this scene, and have definitely owned their share of it. I think with these 2 records, they definitely demonstrate they're both really solid. I have to bring up the second one because it's just so good, and I'm so much more familiar with it than this one. It seems like a disservice not to mention them both while talking about it, but this being a debut, it's so strong for them. So I don't know. And as far as big four goes, I mean, I don't know. I could really, because my vocabulary with these kind of bands is limited to some extent. I pulled out the couple of bands that I have in my collection, Skullfist and stuff, and Blazing Right, and I think they all kind of, but then I think they're all kind of indicative of what really good new wave trad metal bands should sound like or do sound like. I mean, I think I've probably got 100 records saved in my Spotify list, but I've only got so many songs saved in my song list, and they're all from like the bands that I showed from this week, So I'll default to Marty's massive brain on the big four question, but I would.
This isn't my genre. This is a
Yeah.
genre that I just skirted along the edges of.
Sure.
I'm not
like
Kellen. Kellen would be able to
right.
ramble off a list.
I had my phase. I kind of started falling into this genre and really falling in love with certain bands, and and I still have, and I've explained it on the show. I have a tendency to want to glom on to one thing and just spin it until it spins out of my player, and I still do that, and I'm always still kind of looking for that one band or one release that has just such a great catchy, and so it's like I had I'm not super versed in all the bands that are around in the universe of this style right now, but for what I know and for what this record does, I mean, I don't know if they didn't reinvent a wheel by any means, but they definitely own the lane they're in, for sure. I would put it in those terms.
All right, Jim.
Yeah, this I'm actually right with you, TJ. I don't know anything about this genre really. It's not anything that I explored. Like I said, when I first heard this, I wasn't ready for it. When I listened to, quote unquote true heavy metal or epic heavy metal, I listened to the old gods, right? You know what I mean? And there's so much there, for me. Like I guess I never really felt like the urge, to even bother. But I do like Summerlands, and I remember, we did cover them, and I've had picking them up on my list. I just haven't gotten around to it for whatever reason. But that's really the only other band besides this one that really caught my ear. And of course, like you guys mentioned, they share members, so it makes total sense. But I think we've done like a couple of newer ones. Like we did Battle Cross before. We covered those guys, and I ended up buying that after, and they're epic heavy metal. So I mean, there's some stuff, but that in my collection, but I don't know really, who are the leaders of the genre. Is it Eternal Champion? I don't know. Is Summerlands one of them? It seems like they should be, because I've heard a lot about them. I know they get a lot of good press. And I like them too, but yeah, so that's, maybe the theme of this night for me is just like, hey, giving these new gods like a chance. You know what I mean? I came into it from the old stuff, but this album definitely it hangs with me, with the old stuff. There's just an aura there that's really consistent throughout the record and strong. And if there's more bands like this that carry the torch high, but in such a way that it doesn't get snuffed out, when compared to what came before, then I'm all for it.
Do I think that they're doing anything, Eternal Champion doing anything fresh or new? I really don't. I think they've just made they made it modern. There's just a good, slick, modern feel to this music, and there's no denying hearing. There's like, which song was it? I think it was, the title track. I was surprised to hear like an Ozzy, like if Jakey Lee was writing the riffs for it. Definite Ozzy Osbourne vibe here, and so I mean they're polishing the old ways a bit and just making it just a slick, not over the top, just very palatable, consumable flow. So I just think they're doing it well. They're doing it within their own sound too, which is nice. They don't really necessarily sound like anybody other than, I guess I can hear some Summerland comparisons because the one guy is in both bands, and I think he's the Ozzy freak. So you can hear some of those Ozzy riffs in Summerlands as well. But but as far as big four, this is not my genre, but I'll just name off some bands I do like. I do think Eternal Champion deserves to be here. I really like Iron Flame, Andrew DeCogna from Nachachuan, and Brimstone Coven, and Icarus Witch. The Iron Flame stuff is really solid, heavy metal, new wave of traditional metal. Summerlands, I'm not a huge fan of that, but I get it's very popular. Night Demon, Visigoth, I think they're a little bit more on the epic side. Venator, I have one of their CDs. It's really quite good, technical, but really aggressive, good heavy metal stuff. And then a band I've been meaning to buy stuff by, Riot City. The stuff I've heard from Riot City is quite impressive. Again, a modernized, more technically advanced reworking of the old gods formula, essentially. But it's really good, solid stuff. What do you think, Logan?
So for the first part of the question, is there anything new to what Eternal Champion are doing? I mean, of course, when I first heard this, I was like, oh my God, what is this perfect blend between, what I consider heavy metal and classic metal, and something that's a bit more doomy and thrashy and aggressive. I've never heard this like combination before. So back then I was blown away by this right in between style of riff writing and songwriting that they were doing, where they're balancing out epic and something slightly aggressive and everything in between. And then of course, I get into Manila Road and Warlord and Omen and stuff, and I kind of hear where they're pulling from. I mean, there's some songs on here that make me think of, Manila Road comparison and stuff. I mean, one of my favorite songs on here, Invoker, makes me think of from this album, Return of the Old Ones. Like, it has a very similar, of course, subject matter, but then also dynamic in how they write the song and just the smoothness of the riff writing as well. So It's not as new and exciting as what I initially thought, but I mean, I'm still holding on to that first impression that I had,
Sure.
10 years ago. I definitely think it is more of a rebranding and a refreshing of the sound now, and basically delivering it to a newer generation. I mean, without this release and without other bands from this era of the new wave of traditional heavy metal, I don't know if we would have quite the resurgence that we have of like Sirith Ungol and Warlord, and like Hell's Heroes is like one of the biggest fests going now, which is centered around that. We've got the Soldiers of Steel Fest, all of these different like heavy metal, traditional metal festivals in America. I'm definitely talking about America specifically, popping up, and the heavy metal scene, the traditional heavy metal, epic heavy metal scene seems like more alive and healthier than ever. And I think a lot of it has to do with this era of new wave of traditional heavy metal. So as far as a big four goes, this is kind of a trick question, because I think new wave of traditional heavy metal is one of those like nebulous scenes where it's hard to pinpoint it. I mean, some people could say that it's been going on since like the 2000s, right? Like we talked about Hammers of Misfortune. Some people would label that new wave of traditional heavy metal, literally like the late 90s, early 2000s. And that Battle Roar you guys covered, that was like 2008. And there's all kinds. That scene has been really like just going on for a couple decades at this point. But I think it got a dose of adrenaline in like the mid 2010s with Eternal Champion, Sumerlands. Where did I put? There we go. Dream. This is their second album, Dream Killer. The first one, the self-titled one, is perfect. I think I might like the first one a little bit better, but Dream Killer is great. So Eternal Champions, Sumerlands, Visigoth, Marty, you mentioned them. The Revenant King is pretty amazing, actually. I was somewhat iffy on that album back in the day when it came out, but it's really warmed up to me over the years, and that's the first time I heard Manila Road was their cover of Necropolis. That's on that album, which they kill it. And then finally Haunt, I would have to say, is the other one. That Burst into Flames album that they did back, I think it was 2017, 2018, was pretty big. And one of the more interesting things about the wave of traditional heavy metal scene is a lot of these bands aren't really that prolific. Like 3 of the 4 bands I just mentioned have only released 2 albums. I mean, Sumerlands, Eternal Champion, and Visigoth are not really that prolific at all. And then Haunt is the opposite. They're too prolific. They've released 9 albums. You can't keep up with them. They've watered down their sound and kind of a little bit of shell of their former self. I don't know. It's tough to keep up with. So I would still say Eternal Champion and Sumerlands are still pretty big, but these days there's almost like a new big 4 bands that are like making waves. Vulture's Vengeance from last year.
That band is really good. They are one of their CDs, and it's fantastic. Really good. Totally forgot about them.
Yeah. I think Nightlore was, you might have mentioned that one recently, but that was their debut. I don't have that one yet, but this is the second album from last year. Century, I think from Sweden, I want to say, but great band. Traveler, I know Alan likes that band. And Ambush, which is a Kellen band, I believe, are all like really making waves these days. Just kind of picking up where some of these bands the older bands I mentioned left off, But there's so many different bands in the scene and so many different regionalities to it that like there's like a big 16 almost. So, but thank you guys for humoring me with the question.
Another band that slipped my mind that should have been in the conversation is High Spirits from Chicago. Chris Maycock, or Professor Black's band. Love, super weird. It's almost lightweight traditional heavy metal. The way he sings, it's just very, I don't know. They're just weird. They're just so catchy though. Really, really well done stuff. Let's discuss the musicality and composition of the Armor of Ire. TJ.
Yeah, so like we were saying, I mean, in terms of style and what they're doing, these guys they didn't reinvent the wheel. They're not, but the guys in this band, they're just they're just great players, and they know what they're trying to accomplish in here. That you don't the songs don't get bogged down or lost in weird stylistic shifts or anything. Everything always stays on point really well. You know, and as far as players go, they're all really solid. You know, they're just all really great players. You know, the vocalist, you know, we were talking, it's like he doesn't have any real range to speak of. I think even saying 3 octaves is a bit generous, but he's got such a uniquely singular sound to his voice, and he just delivers with so much conviction around. You know, he brings his words into these songs so well, lays them down so good, and then every once in a while he'll pop the range up just a little bit for emphasis or whatever,
or a good scream. He has like a good scream in him once in a while.
Yeah, and he just kind of stays in one place most of the time, and it's just, as somebody in the comments had mentioned, you know, they had a hard time getting into the vocals or whatever, and I could see where for some, because he does have a very, you know, his voice is his own. You know, he doesn't sound like anybody to my ears, really. Maybe a little bit like the guy that was singing on the first Sumerlands a little bit, maybe. But otherwise, I mean, just very, very much his own thing. But beyond that, I mean, everything else, you know, these songs are really well delivered. They're really well put together. These guys play really great. Their styles really stand out and show their influences, but they don't, you know, they don't lean on it so much that, again, the songs don't get lost in, you know, gimmicks or tricks where they're, you know, trying to bring everybody else, you know, all these things in. They're really kind of delivering their own stuff, and it's really cool. It's like I said, you know, it's like nothing new, but they own the lane they're in. I think, you know, they really do. You know, the leads are really tasteful, and the drum work on here, it drives the songs really well. It's not super flashy by any stretch, but it's just very competent and straight ahead and in the pocket, and you know, overall it's just a really, you know, the structure and the feel of everything is just really well put together. I have no complaints or any nitpicks about that at all.
Right on, Jim.
Yeah, man, just, you know, great guitar tone. You know, there's like a kind of a warmth to this album. You know, despite, you know, this is, you know, rooted in true heavy metal. Like, and you know, when we're talking about that era, you know, the old gods were very kind of mid-rangey and you know, lots of highs and stuff, and that's here as well. You know, there's definitely a lot of mid-range, but there's still kind of like a warm kind of tone in the guitars, and even in the vocal presentation, with him kind of staying in that lane vocally, like it kind of has like this really cool, almost of a drone kind of an aura around it, and you know, when you're marching into battle, like that's kind of what I imagine is voices in unison, like, oh, you know, like the what do they call them, the Sardaukar of Dune or whatever coming at you, you know. It's really cool, man. And you know, and I think everything that they're kind of doing here is intentional to kind of, you know, give you that prepare for war feeling. There's just a really cool kind of like, you know, old school metal bounce, you know, or that dun, 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 you know, triple kind of a thing, you know, that, you know, arguably, you know, Maiden came up with it, but, you know, always more of an up tempo thing. When bands took that and slowed it down and made it darker, it made it more ominous, and that's kind of the pocket where these guys stay in. But yeah, you know, I like how, even though he, you know, the vocal stays in that, you know, kind of, you know, area, he'll, like on the first track, man, you know, I am the hammer that I love that, dude, you know, and it made me think of like the Reverend, you know, from the first, you know, Metal Church, and you know, and there's even you know, a riff there, the verse riff kind of reminds me a little bit of old Metal Church too, which is, that is high praise for me. If anybody knows me, you know, I mean, really, the first several Metal Church albums are some of my favorite records of any band. So I and especially, you know, the debut and all of it, you know, the dark, they're all great, you know, Blessing in the Skies, all that stuff. But yeah, man. So it brought me back to a good spot. And when they do, like, they bring in keyboards, like to your point earlier, Marty, it's not like over the top. Their keyboards are like subtle and just kind of add to the vibe. They don't overrun it. They don't drown the guitars out. Everything is there kind of like to add to the effect, not to overwhelm you. You know, the music always is takes precedence. You know, it's the vocal, it's the guitar. You know, the drums by nature of this being true heavy metal aren't like, you know, flashy or anything like that, but they're in the pocket, they're in time, and they're powerful. And that's what you want from just heavy metal with no other, like, you know, qualifiers on either side of it. You know, you want that. So, you know, kudos to, you know, the drummer knowing restraint, right? To make sure that, you know, we're playing heavy metal. We're not playing death metal. We're not playing thrash. We're not playing black or doom. You know, we're playing heavy metal, and he has that sound and that style down perfectly. So you know, these guys, you know, it's always cool to me when, you know, people that, you know, well, I mean, at this point, you know, all the genres are old, right? You know, we're talking death metals from like 87. I mean, all the primary genres are old, right? So, you know, and it isn't really, I guess, surprising, you know, that you know, newer bands can grab those old feelings and recreate them, you know, but to do it with such force and making such a statement, you know, where it stays in your mind, and, you know, you're wanting to listen to it again, you know, you're wanting to sing along with it. That's how they take it another level, and they differentiate themselves, because this album is definitely one that when the 35 minutes are over, you're like, that's it? Well, I mean, just start that again. Let me play that again. It really, it rushes by, but in a good way. Like, you know, you're left, at least I felt like I was left wanting more. So if that's not a testament to composition, then I don't know what is.
All right, Logan.
All right. Yeah. I mean, the musicality here for me is undeniable. And one of the reasons this album clicked with me as quickly and just, you know, got a hold of me as much as it did 10 years ago. The feel of the music overall is powerful, earnest, and, as I said, transportive. It really takes you to the world that Eternal Champion are crafting, this sword and sandal fantasy just world, which really makes me think of some of the classic 1980s heavy metal albums that I've come to know and love as well. The most effective component, I think, musically for them, though, is the guitar work. We're working with 3 guitarists here. Like, I don't think they're all 3 playing at the same time, but they definitely are all got their hands in the pot, and somehow they're not too many cooks in the kitchen. Like, they balance it out, and this album feels perfectly reserved in the guitar work. Like, they rely on riffs to carry songs. They do a lot of lead work and solo work, but then it's very, like, brief. Like, they don't get lost in these rabbit holes of wankery or, you know, trying to be over the top for the sake of it. It's all very focused and intentional, and I definitely gotta praise every single guitarist here. Carlos Llanos, Blake Ibanez, who I believe that's the guy from Power Trip, and then John Powers is the Sumerlands guitarist. But I think they all contributed ideas and lead work, and that's why the guitar work sounds incredibly fresh. And, as I said, just the way that they fit a lot in while not taking over the music and the identity of the songs is pretty impressive. To dive into the riffs a bit more, I absolutely love the riff writing on this album. It feels sharp and technical. Like, it feels like you're witnessing a duel between 2 swordsmen as they're, like, lunging and jabbing and, you know, weaving between attacks. And so it's intricate, but then still has that heavy metal, like, anthemic nature. Like, it doesn't lose the heart of what makes metal. And, like, just look at the opening riff for I Am the Hammer, that just the sharp, like, cuts to it. Awesome. The way that the Cold Sword comes in, that lead riff, it's like a galloping, just attack. One of my highlights, and then finally like the bridge section of to sing the last song of Valdez, I think perfectly demonstrates what they're capable of with the riff writing. Like when they start to do that voiceover kinda, there's just this like very cool like sharp almost stop start kind of riff, but it's perfectly done.
It's even a cool voiceover too.
I love the voiceover.
Yeah,
That's
it's really
really
good.
sections.
It doesn't sound like Count Chocula. It's good.
No, like that's one of my favorite sections, and like you can barely make out what the guy's saying, but like not enough to where it takes over the song. But you also want to try to make it out. But the riff work underneath that is superb. The solos and lead work, as I said, are exceptional as well, and are often also my favorite parts of the songs. I mean, they come out at you like a bolt of lightning, basically. Like once again, to talk about the Cold Sword, it starts with that lead riff, but then there's another like lead guitar solo that comes off from that really brings the song into this gallop, like high speed, gear. And it would not have sounded the same without that like little lead flourish that happens about 20 seconds in. The solo that closes out Invoker is also one of my favorites. You get this like dynamic, almost ballad-like song with a great killer riff, but then at the very climax of the song, there's just this frantic, like energetic guitar solo, kind of buried deep in the back of the mix that really sounds climactic. Like the guitar work sounds like it's really catered to the songs and what the songs need for like a storytelling component. They're not trying to show off to show off. They're trying to add weight and emotional intensity to the story that Eternal Champion are weaving with this music. So love the guitar work. The other highlight for me is the presence of Jason Tarpey on vocals. You guys are absolutely right. Is he the most technical? Is he the most awe-inspiring? Like, he's up here, he's down there. No, but he sits in this pocket and he nails an honest, like heavy, there's a lot of grit and bite to his vocals, and at the same time it's earnest and it kind of captures your attention. Like to me, it makes me think of a mix between like Mark the Shark and maybe like JD Kimball with like a little like Aussie nasalness in there. But it's a unique vocal performance. And honestly, with these new wave of traditional heavy metal bands, the vocalist can be the make or breaking point for me. Sometimes they go too much into like the power metal, like the clean, like they're too good. I need someone a little bit more like down to earth, and like he could be a warrior fighting in a melee that he might lose kind of vibe from the vocalist. And Tarpey definitely has that. I think he makes his performance that much better by adding like unique flourishes to it, like the random shrieks that you guys have talked about, like in I Am the Hammer, or just like just someone stepped on his toe or something. And but it sounds like a battle cry, like right before a fight breaks out or something in a medieval battleground. So, and then his lyrics I think are superb. I will read some more of them when we get to like the individual songs, but that's one of the main things that helps to transport me to the world that Eternal Champion create on these tracks. Like the lyrics, especially to I Am the Hammer and Invoker, absolutely take the cake for some of my favorites within the past like 10 years or so. So, but yeah, album flies by. What is it? 8 songs, 34 minutes.
Yeah.
Just what Jim said. You finish it, hit play again. Like, there should be one more track. Let's just start it over. So
I tell you what, man, there's something to be said for these shorter albums. It's everybody's attention spans are being programmed to be decimated thanks to reels and shorts, and hearing shorter albums nowadays seems to be the new normal. The place that maybe 35 minutes is where you're holding the most people's attention. You know what I mean? You start going on these 50-minute opus, it's like, oh, fuck off already, get it over with, But okay, for me, you guys completely not much to offer here other than the fact that you can really tell that there is a lot of talent in this band, especially in the guitar work. And I really do appreciate how they keep it reserved. They show it off on occasion, but there's a lot of patience on this record, which I like. There's space in all of the songs, where whether it's the riff is a chord progression or the licks are simplistic, easy to get into, and Jason's voice over the top of it. There's room for everybody in this music, which is really cool. There's a lot of room for musicians to shine. There's a lot of room for melodies to take hold and develop. And there's a lot of room for the vocalist to do what he needs to do to decorate the song. So yeah, there's the one track on here. It was Blood Ice. I mean, that to me is a throwaway. It's just like a little ambient piece or whatever. It kind of felt like filler. But other than that, I think the songs flow really well. And in fact, I think the songs get better as the album unfolds, but we will get there here in a minute. Production. TJ.
Yeah, so I think my only real gripe with this is that I didn't really care for the way his vocals are mixed on this record. They just feel like it's a little better on my stereo and here, but listening through my earbuds in the car, they just felt far away. They just felt really wet, and they're there, but comparing it to Ravaging Iron, his voice is a lot more prominent on that record, in my opinion, at least to my ears. I think they have better production on that record. I don't hate the production on this one by any stretch. I just think I just would have liked to heard his vocals a little different. I like how the mix and the feel of this is more fast and loose on this. It's not. It doesn't feel tight production wise to me. It feels more open and breathy to me. But there's good sonics. There's good thump, good warmth to it. It's just, there's just reverb in it, and and it just gives it that big ambience. Extremely listenable. It's not harsh on the ears. It's a good, full of life production. The mix is strong. Shit doesn't get washed out all over the place, and everything just has good breath and life to it. Other than I think the vocal mix and could have been a little different in my opinion. I just like what they did with him more on the second record, but it's more of a nitpick than a criticism than anything. So,
Jim.
We're on production, right?
Yep.
Yeah, man. As I mentioned earlier, there's a warm tone about the album, and it's present with the guitars, and every instrument. There's a warmth to it here. And, the toms hit really well and have a good kind of rumble to them, but not over the top. It's not like too bassy. It's just kind of right in the sweet spot. I do like his snare sound. It's delightfully 80s. There's almost like that little bit of gated snare thing kind of clip on it. It sounds really wide, but then it cuts. You know what I mean? It's cool. It definitely reminded me of old heavy metal. So yeah, all that's really great. I like the levels. I like how everything sits. I think the guitars are kind of up front more so than the vocals. But it kind of gives them like a thickness and a power, which is really cool. When you think about 80s era, true heavy metal albums, a lot of times the guitars were a lot thinner in sound, which I'm fine with. I mean, that's the way it was, and it's cool. But here, there's almost like a, I don't know, there's just like a heavier. It's not like a thick gain, like a thrash or a death thing, but it's kind of well-rounded and fuzzy, almost like they're playing through orange amps, but with with distortion pedals. So they're not just using what's in the head. I mean, they're adding a little bit of extra distortion there. and keeping it metal. It's not stoner doom, it is metal, so all of that just kind of combines to make this for me sound like modern, like it makes it sound new, like the old style music, but with a new kind of vibe. I lay that in the hands of the frequencies that the guitars are playing through, and also just the overall production itself. Like all of that kind of makes it sound, for me, very fresh, but also still very familiar. It's in a very, really cool spot that it hits on both fronts for me. And I also think, what Logan, what you said, what Casperia promotion manager was saying about his vocal I completely agree with you guys. Like it just sounds real, honest. The fact that it's not over the top, the fact that he stays in his pocket and just like focuses on his, the delivery that he can do, his lyrics, which are great, it's fantastic lyrics, and delivered with feel. It makes it more relatable. It's not like this technically perfect power metal thing. It just gives it more. I feel like it gives it more power that he just doesn't ramble off into like the super high stuff. Staying in that pocket, gives it like a very relatable energy, its own kind of quiet power. It's not tearing your eardrums apart with a lot of high frequency wails and crazy tremolo. It's just staying right here where it's going to hold your attention. And I know we're talking about production, but I'm sorry, I just had to talk about the vocals for a minute. and because I think it's a very important part of this band. And I get what people are saying, some in the comments like, it's nasally or it's hard to take. But that's what's great to me about, the best elements of epic heavy metal is when it's hard to take like that. It's got that real kind of like street aesthetic, if you will. I think about Manila Road, man. It's the nasalist of the Navy. Mark Sharp, Necropolis. But is it awesome? Yeah. Do I have like a stack of Manila Road behind me? Yes. I
have them all. all of it.
Yeah, I know you do, man. I know you do.
Love it.
And so I feel it's just real. It's just someone that you can have a beer with, but they're also going to get up on stage and whoop your ass with their performance. So that's what I take from it. And yeah, I know we're talking about production, but whatever. Felt like I had to say all that. It's more important. So
all right, Logan.
Yeah, for the production, this was my first exposure to the Arthur Risk kind of production and sound, which talk about a prolific producer these days. That guy has been everywhere producing everything. I mean, he did the latest Blood Incantation album and has just been bigger and bigger every single year, it seems like. So I feel like his career kind of started in this era with this album and the Sumerlands album. I think here he absolutely nails the production for me, and it has this feel where, I mean, it does feel somewhat polished. Like it doesn't have that sharp edge, as you were saying, Marty. It is smooth, it does flow, it doesn't sound like a 1980s album where they're just throwing everything together and it's out of time, or it's got just the reverb of all the amps like they're playing it live. It definitely sounds produced and from like the 2010s, but at the same time it still has a kind of a mystical, like, not clean feel to it. It does not feel overly produced. It doesn't feel overly polished. It does have just enough of a dirty side to it. It's a bit more narrow and compressed. It feels like everything is in like a light fog, and I appreciate that. It helps with the visual nature of this album, with visualizing like two armies coming, to meet each other on the battlefield, and the riffs and vocals soaring over top. And I just like where everything fits in the mix, like vocally, it's not overshadowing. Even the guitar work, like the guitar leads and the guitar solos, I think they're perfectly place. They're either like at equal volume with everything else, or they're even sometimes further back behind the core of the music, and I think that adds a lot of atmosphere to it. And it just makes, as I said, the guitar work and the fact that there are 3 guitars here, it makes it more tasteful and not over the top, which this album needed to be grounded and more down to earth in that nature. So absolutely think the production works here, and it actually makes me think of a bit more of the 1980s production of some albums by Omen, like Warning of Danger and Warlord, a bit more so than like contemporary production of like a Visigoth or Enforcer or any power metal band or other more straightforward heavy metal band that's trying to ape like Judas Priest, Painkiller. So I think the production really works for making this a down to earth, like fantasy oriented sword and sandal heavy metal album.
Yeah, production here. I like the fact that it's a modern but not too in your face. They really did take a lot of care in finding good tones. There's like a couple songs, there's like this triplet, like Jim was mentioning earlier, like a triplet palm muted marching thing, marching riff where the drums fall right in line with it, and it just, the weight of the production, it feels like there's boots on the ground in unison walking. There's just a head nodding vibe to it. It's warm, it feels somewhat organic. The guitars don't sound over processed to me, but there's still some good high end in the guitars. I'd be shocked if these were tube amps. They sound like that that Orange Crush. It's a solid state 100-watt orange head, but yeah, played with pedals. I mean, that's probably a really accurate description, Jim. Listen to it, that because it doesn't sound like everybody. The guitar tone is kind of right where it needs to be. I wouldn't say it's super unique, but it doesn't sound like everybody. It doesn't sound like plugins. Of course, it probably is. Everything is now, but you hope it's not. It just has an old vibe to it. I think what Logan's saying, like that early power metal stuff, US power metal, like Omen and shit. Yeah, I get that. And you hear like the title track with the Ozzyisms in it, the Jakey Lee style guitar riffs. It feels like it could have been during the Bark at the Moon sessions. It just has, the guitar has that sort of vibe to it. I don't know. I do like the mix. I don't get what TJ's saying about the vocals. They sit, maybe it's just your earbuds or something.
I don't know. I even hear out here in the cave, I don't seem to have the same attack and punch as they do on the second record. They're good, but they're just not. They don't sit in the same place. The second record, they seem to have more presence and a little bit more on top, and it just, I don't know. I just don't really. They're just a little off for me. I think they're still good. I think I would have preferred them to be a little bit what they did second time around is all.
Yeah, but I don't know. There's a lot of room to breathe in this mix and the production, and it's not brick walled to shit. If you want it louder, turn it up, and that's the old school vibe. I mean, that's the old way of mastering. It's funny doing when we do the reviews. I do all the editing for the reviews. I can't remember what we were listening to the other day. I was pulling sound clips. The wave files are completely solid. There was no spikes in the sound wave. It was just a solid mass all the way across. I'm like, holy shit, they mastered this right to the rafters. And that's kind of the modern way of doing things. But it's nice you get an album like this. There's headroom. Turn it up. If you want it louder, turn it up. It's still going to sound good. In fact, it might even sound better. Let's talk about least favorite songs. TJ.
I have a lot of, least favorites. Where'd it go? The Blood Ice interlude thing. I don't know, whatever. I'm the Hammer. That song initially threw me. It kind of starts a little slow, and then it definitely picks up and gets there. I think strong for me though, the Cold Sword, just endless galloping, just twin guitar attack in there. It's great vocals. They do a little bit of kind of a gang style in there a little bit. I don't know if it's gang style is right, but they do, double vocals, whatever, with sounds like the other guys in the band doing some backing or stuff. Invoker, that's like the ballad of the record.
It starts off, but it gets heavier as it goes.
And it does, but it comes, they lather, rinse, repeat on that part of it. And again, that one kind of started throwing me, and I'm like, you know what, I don't know about this. And then it really gets strong, and the melody line and stuff, it is really cool. It's a really cool song. Let's see. Sing the last song of Valdez. That main riff, the big riff in that song is really cool. It reminds me of something that I can't put my finger on. There's like a borrowed melody line or something there. It feels like that they're using. It's just really cool. And then was it The Last King of Pictum? It's a real, I put it in my notes, a real fist in the air feel. Great dueling guitar lines. It's a great track. I mean, overall, I got no real hard dislikes. I mean, the one ambient track is just kind of whatever. And they do it kind of at the end too a little bit. It's good. It's a cool outro. Cool guitar line stuff, but otherwise I really enjoy this record kind of front to back.
Jim.
So yeah, I definitely have standout tracks for me that really get my blood boiling in a good way. The opener is just killer. I mentioned earlier, I am the Hammer. It reminds me of debut album Metal Church. That riff just doesn't have to be a fast opener. The riff is powerful. It just like it's just powerful. It reminds me of something that Kurt Vanderhoof would have written. All of it. I am the Hammer. I mean, it's what's more metal than I am the Hammer, dude? I mean, that is metal, dude. Last King of Pictum, so cool. A great story about the Picts against the Romans, man, from their perspective. I love that line. Their heads will hang from my hand. Dude, so cool, man. It's a very empowering song. Awesome melody line about 2:45 in, where it's just like the guitar only playing that melody line with like no backing track, and the bass is really like loud and powerful behind it. And the other guitar comes in just playing the melody line again without like a rhythm guitar backing track. It's just a melody, super powerful, sounds really cool. Just a great song. It's an awesome song. Invoker, these guys really nail the Lovecraftian lore here. We've heard the old ones 1,000 times, but delivered through this guy's vocal and with his lyrics that just really emulate the prose that he's inspired by. Like it's really cool. And I love that line when he's like, "When I doze," it's really cool. It catches me up every time. It's the old one's awakened again. It's just really cool sing along. Even the title is cool, Invoker. Like everything about that song just rules, man. Sing a last song of Valdez. Man, I like how in the chorus, like it's an ascension, right? He is a just kind of keeps rolling up and up. But I love at the end though where they change it up, right? They play that same chorus, but then one guitar is just chugging the whole time, man. And then the other guitar, instead of playing like the single picked melody note, instead of going he goes it plays this crazy open riff with it, and it's so I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It is so badass, dude. Like I love that kind of shit, man. When you can take an unexpectedly like rebuild it at the end and just like really crescendo that thing. I mean, it is so powerful, dude. Absolutely, like probably my favorite moment on the album. I just dude, if you haven't listened to this record yet, listen to Sing the Last Song of Valdez. It's the second to last track 7. when it gets to that last chorus, man, if you're not up throwing shit through your fucking window, you're not a metalhead. Just go die, whatever, fuck off. But yeah, that thing is awesome. So yeah, they're all good. There's no stinkers on this album for me, but yeah, man, 1, 3, 6, and 7, pure metal.
All right, Logan.
Oh man, gonna be tough to top Jim there. That was a killer rendition of last song. I'll just say ditto for that. Man, I Am the Hammer is an absolutely magical opener, though. That immediately hooked me first time I heard this, and that main riff just drops in. It's like the perfect balance between like doom metal and heavy metal and something a bit more like thrashy, like just the way that the riff cuts and just shapes the song. And then it goes into like another even more epic riff after that. Just a great riff song. And then Tarpey has his screech vocals. What a just commanding opener. And it immediately lifts you from wherever you are and puts you in this realm that Eternal Champion operate in. And the song is so visual. The lyrics are perfect. I mean, you know, from the west I hear the riders of Tarsul. They've gone into the north and they joined Heiklin in war. Let them both rise up to meet my armies. They are battle-starved, and I promise they will feast of two nations' blood. I have no idea what they're talking about, but it's fucking cool. And I'm ready for whatever blood feast is coming, I guess. And as Jim said, the I Am the Hammer line, just perfect. Chills every single time, and love it. The Cold Sword is just a killer, galloping, straightforward, blistering heavy metal track. That's got just that like almost Iron Maiden Piece of Time kind of peace of mind, like energy to it, that gallop, like from the Trooper kind of. And I just love the guitar work and the lead work and that main riff. Is superbly done, and just the way the guitar sounds when it's just standing out on its own, awesome. And some of my favorite guitar solos on the album. Invoker was one of my favorite songs. Was my favorite song on the album for the longest time. It's a close call with another one now, but the dynamics of this album are perfect. It feels like a ballad initially, but every time that the drums and that riff comes in to pick up to the chorus, dude, adrenaline surging, and it really captures the feel of the Cthulhu monster and just this scenario that this hero is trapped in, very catchy chorus, by the way. This chorus will get stuck in your head. And once again, great lyrics. The lyrics here are my favorite on the album. Then I beheld Kadath in its cloud-hidden peak, and I beheld the crawling chaos beneath. They kneel for the invoker. The old ones awakened again. I love it. It's like this guy trying to kill the invoker before he summons Cthulhu and all the hordes and stuff. Awesome song. Sing the Last Song of Valdez has kind of become my new favorite. Just over the years, it's taken me a bit of time to really immerse into where all the different directions they go in and how they craft the song and build it up to that epic climax. And it's amazing. And like the riff writing is just razor sharp. I love how they change it up, and especially during the spoken word part. Already kind of talked about that a little bit, but the way that the riff play goes, during that, it feels like it's lunging, and it's so cool. And then finally, when it ends, the spoken word section ends, it comes back with all the energy. It's like tenfold. Awesome stuff. The two interludes, I mean, yeah, if we're gonna nitpick something on the album, there's two interludes. They make up like 5 minutes. 5 minutes of a 34-minute album, maybe a bit too long. I would have taken one more song, and that's more of a compliment than anything, But I definitely think the interludes are a bit on the long side. The closing one is like 3 minutes, and the one in the middle is like 2.5. I think the one in the middle needs to be there because it makes Cold Sword hit a bit harder, but yeah, gotta tweak that just a little bit. But 4 out of 6 songs are perfect to me.
Yeah, with the two interludes on here, the two instrumentals, it's a conscious effort to, oh shit, we wrote all these really killer songs. Not enough time for the album to be considered a full length. We got to do something. That to me feels like filler, but it's so insignificant up against the rest of this album. I really do like I Am the Hammer. I think it's a great mission statement right away. It's very patient, though pounding opener. There's a lot of triumph and bombast in the beat and the riffs on this track. So it's very easy. It brings you in to what's about to happen quite nicely. Yeah, and it tells you right away, you're not going to be getting a lot of over the top technicality here. We're going to present tasteful licks and solos in different ways, which is nice. Favorite on here is the title track. Very smooth song. There's just such a flow to this song. It just feels like it evolves and opens up as it goes. It's so cool. Excellent flow on it. The vocals, they're subtle, but they have a lot of impact. Again, was Jason, is that his name? Jason. He's got just such a very engaging range. It isn't vast, but it's like I said, he pours a lot of emotion into it. Yeah, this song has got great chord-based riff ideas and complex solos, and there's like a pulse in the riffs. It feels like something, like I mentioned, created by Jakey Lee during the Bark at the Moon era. It just has that vibe. And mentioned that. Invoker, I do like the song. Starts off a little ballad-esque, which Jason's voice really works well here. It's good, but the song evolves into a proper headbanger. My ultimate favorite song on here is the Sing a Last Song of Valdez or Valdesa. I don't know exactly how that's pronounced, but man, this is a very punchy song. Interesting riffs. There's a Slough Feg, Lord Weird Slough Feg influence in the regal riff work on this record. It put me in mind of Lord Weird a lot, which, salute. If you're going to do that, great. Always a plus. And there's some really cool, intricate bass work cutting through the mix on here, which you don't really think about the bass a whole lot on this record until this point. It gives the track a little bit of a prog vibe, which it's weird, but it works really well. I'm like, God, I wish it's did this a little bit more on some of the other songs. And I guess that guy passed away, so rest in peace. That's super sad. But yeah, this song is special, and it's right towards the end, and it's just so heavy, and it just has a full. You just want to get into this one. The way it's constructed, it's just very heavy. Shadegate again. We end on the interlude again to pad it out to hit a time. They probably wrote an EP's worth of songs and said, nah, we're gonna have stretch this into an album. But Judgment, final thoughts. Jim.
Yeah, man. I don't know what I was thinking in 2016 when I didn't connect with this, because I absolutely connected with it right away this time. And maybe it was one of those things, Marty, like you mentioned earlier, like a lot of people were telling you to check it out and made you not want to.
Yeah, exactly. More people tell me how great it is. I'm like, yeah, whatever. You don't.
I kind of remember the same thing. Like a lot of people saying it was awesome, and it made me. And maybe that's the elitist in me or whatever. But I was like, it can't be good. There's so many people say it's awesome. Well, sometimes things are well loved for a reason, and they're well loved because they're awesome. We keep talking about how moments of these guys' guitar playing remind us of like Bark at the Moon era Jakey Lee. Well, I love that record.
Yeah, me too.
So what's wrong with me checking out Eternal Champion?
Not a lot of modern metal dudes aping that style is what
exactly,
which is cool.
So if I can get behind something that sold millions of records, why can't I get behind something that a bunch of metalhead guys say is good? That's something. It's a lesson for me, because I could have been listening to this for 10 years. But be that as it may, I'm glad it's on my radar now, and I will be picking this up. This has been a joy to listen to this week. And thanks for bringing it to our attention, Logan.
Well, great. TJ and Jim are going to be in direct competition for this. Pop up on Discogs or whatever.
Right.
Well, what's the cheapest one on Discogs right
now? They're all in Europe, man. I checked.
You're right. It's out of print. I mean, it's not. You're gonna have to get it used. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's on eBay. It's got to be on eBay.
Now there's like a box set for I think is it for Ravaging Iron, I think. It's got all three formats and stuff in it. It's like $166, which I don't want. I mean, I'm a sucker for the box set, but I'm not paying that. I mean, I think the most expensive box set I ever bought was the Memoriam box that I bought, and I think I paid $100 for that.
If it had the carcass plate, you would do it, right?
Well, I didn't get that till I got a good deal on it. So I wasn't even willing to pay $100 for that damn thing, but I got a good bargain on it, so I had to have it.
It isn't a practical buy until you've eaten macaroni and cheese off of it.
No, maybe one day I'll put a sandwich on it. I don't know. But I don't know, one of these days. But yeah, I think that's going to be. I think I'll have to start doing my own channel, and it's going to be what's in the box, because I have so many things in the boxes. So what's in the box? But yeah, man. You know what, this I think this band really kind of exemplifies, what's going on in the new wave thing. I think they're great. They have their own thing. They're fresh. They're a great band. The Jakey Lee thing, I think he's always been a very underappreciated guitar player.
Great.
That's what's really sold me on the Sumerland stuff. Is how hard he drove down into that feel, especially on the first record. And it was really kind of cool to see, because like the song, the album Bark at the Moon, but that song, that's probably, for my money, my most favorite Ozzy song ever. I just absolutely love that song.
Great.
I just such a killer song.
Great song.
And this Jakey, but and this being a debut for this band, I mean, come on, man. I mean, it's just crazy good.
But they did it right. They actually had, a demo. They actually had a couple singles. They did a split. So I mean, they or a lot of bands nowadays, they just like, here's our full length album out of nowhere. It's crazy.
Well, sure, but it's still for this to be the first record to be so strong. So they had their finger on it. They knew what they were putting together and did it right, and it's great. I will definitely be trying to track this down. This gets a 9 all day. It's killer stuff.
I'll let Logan go last since he picked it. Oh yeah, it's great. There's nothing it's not an overburden to listen to this record. It's short, it's easy to process and get into. It's tasteful, and there's a lot of great traditional heavy metal tropes on display here that they hit right for an old guy that has been listening to this stuff for a long time. And, is this dethroning Manila Road or anything like that? For me, it isn't. But I think out of the modern stock of bands, like I said, I have very carefully and ignorantly treaded into this new wave of traditional heavy metal thing. It's just probably one of my least listened to metal genres. Not because I don't like it. I don't want to be bothered by investigating a bunch of younger guys trying to sound like old bands that all kind of sound the same. These guys kind of have a feel like they're saluting the old guard in a way, but yet they're taking it into a modern realm with sophistication. So yeah, I think they definitely deserve a spot on your shelf. I got both of them on vinyl, and I do listen to them on occasion. And I think in this case, one of the rare cases, the hype is warranted for something like this. So yeah, good pick, Logan.
Thank you. Yeah, this is a blast doing this episode with y'all and just spinning this album all week. I mean, this is a near perfect album for me. The only mistakes I can come up with are the interludes are a bit too long, and I think they could have snuck in one more like ripping, like fast-paced song, kind of like The Cold Sword, and it would have really potentially landed, But I get why the album is how it is, and I still think it might be even better because it is so short and, you know, it's so easy to get through and digest and then return to it. Like an easily listenable album is always, you know, better in my book than something that you're just trying to get to the end of.
I think the follow-up had a little bit more complex guitar work too, if I remember right. Yeah,
it did. I will get to the follow-up because
sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. I have not really clicked with the follow-up yet, actually. I'll have to talk to TJ offline and maybe as you too, Marty, about what made that work versus, you know, in addition to this or versus this one, because I was initially a little let down with it, and then I just have not really had that clicking moment where I'm like, man, this is almost as good or just as good as Armor of Ire. So
just don't ask him to teach you how to spell anything.
You're right.
I'm tired, all right? It's been a long day.
Yeah, it's all good. Exclamation. No, the apostrophes are tough. See, I'm tired too. No, I think this could be heralded as a future metal classic for like this 2010s decade, and one that I think is influential for bringing heavy metal back into the limelight in America at the very least, and kind of getting a lot more bands, festivals, and fans into this style of new traditional heavy metal stuff. And then of course, like the classics. I mean, you know, that's what it's all about at the same time. And I think Eternal Champion have succeeded in both, being, you know, an emissary for newer bands, but then also an emissary to get people into the older classic bands as well. So hails to these guys, both of their albums, and, you know, other bands in this ilk, Sumerlands, Visigoth, even Haunt for sure. So absolutely fun listening to this week. 9.75 out of 10 for me.
Right on. There you go. Check out Eternal Champion. TJ, guess what? Oh, I can hardly wait. You've been threatening disaster for all of us, but
all right, you pukes. I've been easing you guys into this, you know, over the last few weeks, and biding my time carefully for this.
Now an 80-minute prog portal.
35 minutes. It's a Swedish band called Floating. Hesitating Lights.
Floating. Hesitating Lights. All right.
I just put this back on the shelf, so.
Oh, Tony, just enjoy it. Thought it was Jim's turn. We were all hoping. Trust me.
I it was too. I was like, wait a minute. I thought it was my turn. I was like, all right.
No, TJ follows me.
You did Razor, and just enjoy it. You'll be thanking me.
Floating, Hesitating Lights next Wednesday, and show notes. We're doing another thrash bracket on Friday. North American bands only, not debut albums. So get ready to start flipping tables and cursing our names. And Jim's still pissed off about the last one, so
yeah, we'll be there.
But right on. Oh, hey Aaron, what's up, man? Cheers. Everybody, thanks for joining us. Always fun, good time. Thanks for joining us in the chat. It's good to see some folks turning out for these things. We have fun doing it. And the super chats too. Thanks a bunch. We appreciate you. We'll see you on Friday. Check out Logan's review for the new Exhumed. It dropped Monday, and hopefully tomorrow or Friday there'll be another Alan review up. So watch our reviews, dang it. We have fun with them. That's it. Have a great week. Cheers.